Some men walk away thinking they've won freedom, but the truth is, freedom comes with a price, and tonight, I want to talk about what it really feels like when you leave someone who loved you like the world depended on it. After the breakup, the first thing he notices is the silence. Not the kind of silence that's peaceful or comforting, but the kind that presses down on your chest and makes it hard to breathe. The house feels bigger, emptier, like the walls themselves are mourning her absence. The coffee table, the couch, the bedroom, every corner is a monument to what used to be. He finds himself walking through rooms expecting her to be there, half smiling, half shaking her head at his antics, and the emptiness echoes back at him. The laughter, the conversations, even the arguments, they're gone, and in their place is a deafening quiet that fills every space, every moment, and every thought. This silence brings memories with it, memories he tried to ignore or take for granted while she was still around. He remembers the mornings when she made him breakfast, the way she hummed while cooking, the way her eyes lit up when he said something funny, even if it was dumb. He remembers the nights she stayed awake just to make sure he got home safely, the way she'd listen to him rant about work, about dreams, about things that didn't matter to anyone else but mattered to him. Each recollection pierces through him like a sudden chill. The silence isn't just absence, it's a spotlight on what he no longer has, a reminder that someone this rare, this good, once believed in him fully. He also realizes how much he used to take her presence for granted. In the chaos of life, he thought she would always be there, her patience, her warmth, her unwavering care. But now, without her, he sees clearly what he ignored. The simple routines that once seemed mundane now feel sacred, and the lack of them is painful. Every small habit of hers, the way she left notes in his pocket, the way she remembered tiny details about him, the way she held his hand in public like she was claiming him for herself, now haunts him in their absence. Silence has a way of making a man confront the truth he avoided. He let go of something extraordinary. The world outside feels different too. Streets, cafes, and parks all carry traces of her, traces he didn't notice before. A song on the radio triggers a memory of her dancing in the kitchen. A scent in the air reminds him of her perfume. Even familiar routes he walked with her now feel foreign, as if she had been the anchor giving everything shape, and without her, the world feels adrift. Crowds of people pass by, laughing, living, loving, and yet he feels detached, isolated, like the silence inside him has created an invisible barrier between him and everyone else. The noise of life continues, but he cannot join it. Not fully, not yet. At night, the silence becomes even more oppressive. When the lights dim and the city quiets, he is left alone with his thoughts, and they are relentless. The silence forces him to confront the choices he made, the words left unsaid, and the love he failed to nurture. He remembers the way she used to talk him through his fears, the encouragement she offered when the world doubted him, the way she made him feel seen. And now, in the stillness of the night, he realizes that he has lost not just a partner, but a sanctuary, a confidante, a safe harbor in a stormy world. The silence magnifies that loss, echoing the emptiness that has replaced her presence. And finally, this silence teaches him something he didn't know he needed to learn. That love, when true and good, leaves a mark that doesn't vanish with a breakup. The quiet forces him to feel, not to run, not to distract himself, not to pretend he is fine. He feels every pang, every ache, every tiny regret, because silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of truth. And the truth is, leaving a good woman behind leaves an emptiness that no distraction, no ambition, no new relationship can fill. It's a quiet that screams, a void that teaches, and a reminder that some losses are permanent, and their echoes will follow you long after the world has moved on. Regret doesn't announce itself with a bang. It slips in quietly, like a shadow stretching across the room at sunset. At first, he doesn't notice it. He goes about his day, thinks he's moving on, tells himself he's better off. But then, in the smallest moments, it arrives. A song on the radio reminds him of her laughter. A line in a movie echoes something she once said, and suddenly, the memory claws its way into his chest. It's subtle, almost innocuous, but it's relentless. Regret begins its quiet work, threading through his mind, showing him, piece by piece, what he lost when he let her go. It's in the overlooked details that regret hurts the most. He remembers the tiny sacrifices she made, the mornings she woke early to make sure he had everything he needed, the nights she stayed up listening to him vent about fears he didn't dare tell anyone else. He realizes he didn't appreciate her fully when she was there. He didn't see how rare her patience was, how unwavering her support, how much she poured into him without asking for anything in return. And now, with her gone, he can't escape the knowledge that he threw away something extraordinary, something he may never encounter again. Regret creeps in during unexpected moments. A coffee cup she used to love, still on the counter at a friend's house. A familiar scent that triggers memories of her. Even ordinary streets carry flashes of her presence, and each one reminds him of all the opportunities he squandered. He remembers the times he argued over nothing, refused to apologize, let pride dictate his actions, and walked away instead of holding on. The past, once distant, now feels like a tightrope he failed to cross, and the regret is the tether pulling him back, making him confront the mistakes he wishes he could undo. Worse still, regret feeds on imagination. He envisions how things might have been if he had stayed, if he had fought harder, if he had truly listened. In these imagined scenarios, she's still smiling at him, still believing in him, still loving him in ways he never fully understood until it was too late. These what-ifs sting more than reality ever could because they show a man exactly what he lost and exactly why it cannot be reclaimed. Regret doesn't just linger in memory. It paints a vivid picture of everything that could have been, and it's a picture that no action now can erase. As days turn into weeks, the regret settles deeper. It seeps into his interactions with others, his thoughts, his ambitions. Nothing feels quite right because the measure of loss is always there, like a subtle ache in his chest that he can't explain. Success feels hollow, laughter feels muted. Even the company of friends reminds him of what he left behind, because nothing they can offer matches the depth of what she gave him. Regret has a way of making him feel simultaneously guilty and powerless. Guilty for letting her go, powerless to bring back what he destroyed through carelessness or fear. Ultimately, the slow burn of regret becomes a teacher, though a merciless one. He starts seeing the patterns of his own flaws, the impatience, the pride, the inability to recognize true value until it's gone. Each pang of regret is a lesson in humility, in self-awareness, in the devastating cost of ignoring what's precious. He realizes that some love is a mirror, it reflects the best and the worst of us. And when he finally sits with the truth, he understands that this creeping, relentless regret is not punishment but clarity. It reveals what he lost, and in doing so, forces him to confront a hard truth. Some mistakes cannot be fixed. Some love cannot be regained. And the pain of this realization will follow him long after the echoes of her presence have faded. After the breakup, he discovers a strange truth. Being surrounded by people doesn't erase the sense of loss. He can walk into a bustling restaurant, hear laughter echoing from every corner, see friends chatting and couples leaning into each other, and still feel a profound emptiness. The world keeps moving, but he is frozen in a space only he can feel, void that no conversation or joke can fill. The irony is cruel. He is surrounded by life, by noise, by energy, yet he is more alone than he has ever been. The people around him seem like distant figures on a screen, moving, living, loving, while he remains trapped in a silent bubble of memory and longing. This loneliness is amplified by memory. Everywhere he goes, he sees traces of her, or at least traces of what they shared together. That coffee shop they used to frequent, the park where they walked hand in hand, even the streets they once drove down together. All of it reminds him that her presence was real, tangible, and now utterly gone. He catches himself imagining her reactions to things around him, how she would smile at a sunset, how she would tease him over something trivial, how she would hold his hand in a way that made the world feel safe. And in that imagining, the loneliness grows, because he knows that no one else can replicate the way she made him feel. Even amidst friends, the emptiness lingers. People talk, joke, and share stories, but he is only half present, his mind wandering back to what he lost. He laughs when he must, nods in agreement, participates in conversations, but the energy doesn't reach him the way it used to when she was there. The subtle intimacy he shared with her, the glances, the quiet conversations, the small gestures of understanding, cannot be replaced. Crowds amplify the contrast between his current life and the life he once had. Each smile he forces, each laugh he fakes, feels hollow compared to the warmth he lost. Loneliness in crowds is a paradox, surrounded by people, yet utterly invisible in the ways that matter most. The loneliness also carries a sting of envy. He watches other couples and wonders how they got it right. How do they laugh without fear? How do they touch without hesitation? How do they understand each other so effortlessly? And all the while, he is haunted by the knowledge that he had something extraordinary and let it slip away. The world feels unfair, not because others have love, but because he recognizes what he squandered. Every glance at happy couples, every story of devotion, is a reminder of the void she left behind. Void he cannot fill with casual friendships or fleeting encounters. At night, this loneliness becomes almost physical. In the darkness of his room, even the noise of the city outside seems distant, irrelevant, powerless against the echo of absence inside him. He recalls the nights she lay beside him, the warmth of her body, the gentle rhythm of her breathing, the quiet comfort of knowing someone believed in him completely. And now, when he reaches out instinctively in the dark, there is nothing, only the cold sheets and the empty air. Crowds cannot protect him from this, laughter cannot heal him, and the presence of others cannot replace the irreplaceable. Loneliness has become his companion, a constant shadow he cannot shake. And yet this loneliness teaches him something hard and undeniable. Love is not just a feeling, it is a presence, a force, a shared space in the world that once lost cannot be replaced. Being among people doesn't fill the gaps she left, because no one else carries the same understanding, the same patience, the same unwavering care. He begins to see that loneliness in crowds is not just about missing her. It's about realizing the depth of her impact, the rarity of what he lost, and the cost of walking away from someone who truly loved him. The paradox is cruel but clear. He is never more aware of love than when he is alone in the middle of a crowd, carrying a void only she could fill. In the aftermath of leaving her, he begins to look at himself in ways he never had to before. The quiet moments force him to confront his own flaws, his fears, his insecurities, and the selfishness that once drove him away. There is no one to distract him from the truth, no partner to soften the edges, no one to make excuses for him. And in that absence he sees himself clearly, sometimes painfully so. He begins to ask questions he had avoided. Am I capable of love the way she needed? Am I ready to give without holding back? Am I the man I thought I was? These questions echo in his mind, relentless, demanding answers he doesn't yet have. He recalls the fights, the silences, the moments when pride took precedence over understanding. He remembers the times he didn't listen, when he brushed off her concerns, when he assumed she would always forgive him. And now, faced with the void her absence leaves, he feels the weight of those choices pressing down on him. Every harsh word, every careless action, every failure to show gratitude for her love becomes magnified in the mirror of self-reflection. The realization hits him. He didn't just lose a partner. He exposed the cracks in himself that he refused to mend while he had the chance. Self-reflection forces him to face the patterns of his own behavior, the habits that sabotage the relationship without him even noticing. He sees his fear of vulnerability, his unwillingness to ask for help, his tendency to run from discomfort rather than confront it. And he understands now that leaving her wasn't just a mistake in timing or circumstance. It was a mistake born from a lack of self-awareness, from not fully understanding what it takes to nurture something as rare and beautiful as her love. The pain he feels isn't just about losing her. It's about facing the man he needs to become in order to deserve someone like her. This reflection doesn't stop at regret. It evolves into longing for growth. He imagines what it would take to be the man she deserved, the man who could stand beside her, cherish her, and honor her without hesitation. He envisions a version of himself stronger, wiser, more patient, more present. And yet, the bitter truth remains, he cannot go back. Time doesn't reverse, and love, once neglected, doesn't always wait. The reflection cuts deep because it shows him both his potential and his limitations, leaving him with a mixture of hope and sorrow that is impossible to untangle. At times, he confronts himself with brutal honesty. He asks why he didn't fight harder, why he didn't listen more, why he allowed fear or pride to dictate his choices. And in these moments, the mirror becomes unforgiving. It shows a man capable of love, but not always ready to wield it with the care it demands. The realization stings because it is not just about the love lost. It is about the opportunities lost to be better, the moments wasted in selfishness, the intimacy he could have deepened but let slip through his fingers. Self-reflection is merciless, but it is necessary, because only by seeing the truth can he ever hope to grow. Ultimately, this deep self-reflection becomes a mirror of both pain and possibility. He understands that the lessons are harsh, the wounds real, but the insight is invaluable. He begins to recognize the man he was and the man he could become, the mistakes he made and the truths he must carry forward. And while the absence of her love leaves a void, the reflection she inspires in him, forcing him to see himself as he truly is a gift of its own. The pain of self-awareness is heavy, yes, but it is also illuminating, revealing the profound cost of leaving a good woman behind and the transformative power of understanding oneself too late. Even after the breakup, even after time has passed, the yearning never truly leaves him. He tells himself he is moving on, that he is focusing on himself, but every now and then it hits him like a tidal wave he cannot control. A random scent, a fleeting smile in a stranger's face, a song playing softly in a cafe, it all pulls him back to her. And in those moments, he remembers exactly what he lost, a woman whose love was steadfast, unwavering, and deeply rooted in him. The yearning is not just for her presence. It is for the way she made him feel alive, understood, and seen in ways no one else ever could. This longing is constant yet subtle, weaving its way into the fabric of his days. Even in the simplest moments, he finds his mind drifting to her, the curve of her smile, the sound of her voice, the way she would rest her hand in his. It's in the quiet of the morning when he wakes alone, in the brief pause at the red light when he drives, in the late night stillness when the world is asleep. The yearning lingers, a quiet ache that refuses to be ignored, reminding him that the bond they shared was rare, profound, and irreplaceable. It is both beautiful and painful, a constant whisper of what could have been. He catches himself imagining scenarios he can never have again. He pictures her laughing at a joke only he would understand, holding him close after a long day, supporting him in ways only she knew how. In these moments, the yearning transforms into a bittersweet ache, a combination of desire and regret. He wants to reach out, to turn back time, to undo the mistakes that cost him her, but he knows it is impossible. And yet, the heart does not always obey reason. It remembers, it longs, and it quietly refuses to let go of what once mattered so deeply. This persistent yearning also teaches him about the depth of her impact on his life. He realizes that some love leaves permanent marks, etching themselves into memory and soul. It is in the subtle ways she shaped him, the values she instilled, the patience she showed, and the belief she had in him, that he feels her absence most. No new relationship, no casual encounter, no fleeting companionship can replicate the depth of what they shared. The yearning reminds him that her love was not just a part of his past. It is a lens through which he now sees life, a standard by which all future connections will be measured. At times, the yearning is almost unbearable, like a quiet storm raging beneath the surface. He sees her in every reflection, hears echoes of her laughter in familiar spaces, and feels the weight of absence pressing on him in ways words cannot describe. Even when he tries to distract himself, to immerse in work, friends, or hobbies, the yearning quietly resurfaces. It is persistent, relentless, and haunting, a reminder that some people leave a permanent imprint on your heart. And with every pulse of this desire, he feels both gratitude for having experienced such love and pain for having let it slip away. Ultimately, the yearning never truly fades because it is not just about missing her. It is about understanding the magnitude of what he had. It is the quiet, constant reminder that she was rare, good, and unconditional in her love, and that the world will rarely offer someone like her again. Every longing glance, every memory that surfaces, every sleepless night carries a lesson. Love is fleeting, precious, and irreversible when lost. The heart remembers what the mind sometimes forgets, and the yearning, as painful as it is, becomes a testament to her greatness and a reflection of his loss. It is the haunting echo of a love he will carry forever. Even after months have passed, a quiet hope lingers inside him. It's fragile, barely noticeable, like the faintest flame flickering in the dark. He imagines that maybe someday, somehow, things could be different. He tells himself that love has a way of returning, that fate has a sense of timing he cannot yet understand. In the stillness of the night, he allows himself these thoughts, letting them carry him for a few brief moments, as if the world might bend just enough to reunite what was lost. This hope, small and tender, feels like the last lifeline to a happiness he once knew. But hope, when it lingers too long, begins to twist into pain. Every imagined scenario that begins with a reunion ends with the harsh reality of impossibility. He pictures her smiling, reaching for him, forgiving him. But he knows deep down that life has moved forward. She may have healed, she may have moved on, and perhaps she has found peace without him. That quiet hope, once comforting, now becomes a knife, cutting sharper with each passing day. The mind wants to cling, but the heart begins to understand the cruel truth. Some things are gone forever, no matter how much we wish otherwise. The pain intensifies when he sees her indirectly, through mutual friends, social media glimpses, or even whispers of her life moving on. Each image, each story, confirms the very thing his heart hoped wouldn't be true, that she exists in a world that no longer includes him in the way it once did. And while he tries to mask his hurt, to tell himself that this is for the best, the quiet pain of missing her, combined with the flickering hope that maybe she is still thinking of him, gnaws at him relentlessly. Hope and pain are intertwined, a cruel pair that refuses to let go. In this mix of hope and despair, he reflects on what he gave up and what could have been. He imagines a life where he fought harder, listened more, loved deeper, and never walked away. He envisions the memories they could have made, the laughter they could have shared, the challenges they could have faced together. And with every one of these imagined paths, he feels the weight of lost opportunity pressing down on him. The hope that something might still change becomes a double-edged sword, teaching him that love is both a blessing and a burden when mishandled. Yet in the quiet ache of this hope, there is a strange clarity. He understands that this pain is a reflection of what he truly valued, even if he failed to honor it when he had the chance. The hope, fragile and fading, reminds him of the love that once existed, the depth of connection he was privileged to experience, and the lessons embedded in that loss. It is a painful teacher, showing him that love cannot be forced, cannot be reclaimed, and cannot be taken for granted. The quiet hope is not entirely cruel. It is a reminder that he recognized something extraordinary, even if he acted too late to keep it. Finally, the quiet hope turns fully into acceptance of pain. He realizes that no matter how much he wishes for the past, life moves forward. The heartache becomes a constant companion, a shadow he carries silently, teaching him, shaping him, reminding him of the cost of leaving someone irreplaceable. He feels the longing, the memories, the what-ifs, but he also begins to understand that this is the consequence of his choices. Love, once lost, cannot always return, and hope, when left unfulfilled, transforms into a lasting pain, a profound, unavoidable truth that he must carry with him for the rest of his days. And so he sits with all of it, the silence, the regret, the loneliness, the self-reflection, the yearning, and the quiet hope that turn to pain. He carries it not as a burden to crush him, but as a reminder. A reminder that love, when real, leaves a mark that cannot be erased. A reminder that leaving someone who truly believes in you is not just a choice. It is a lesson written in the language of the heart. He learns that some people are meant to teach us who we are, even if they are not meant to stay forever. And in that understanding, there is both sorrow and clarity. The pain of loss becomes a mirror, showing him the man he was, the man he could be, and the cost of walking away from someone extraordinary. There is no undoing it, no second chance at that moment in time, but there is a chance to carry the lesson forward. Because love, even lost love, does not leave quietly. It echoes in our thoughts, shapes our actions, and defines the way we see the world. And for him, the truth is clear. What he feels now is not just heartbreak. It is growth, it is remembrance, it is a testament to the depth of what he once had. And that truth, painful as it is, will stay with him, quietly guiding him toward the man he must become. So let this be the understanding. Leaving a good woman changes a man forever. It humbles him, it teaches him. It reminds him that the heart is not something to be taken lightly. And while he may never have her again, the love she gave him, pure, unwavering, unshakable, remains a part of him, shaping every step, every choice, and every heartbeat from this day forward.